Hey, TMT peers, Molly and John here for another Tuesday Q&A session. Always love wrapping up my Tuesdays with you guys. It's one of my favorite days of the week. So excited to hop into any questions that we haven't been able to get to yet, anything new that has come in. I hope you guys are enjoying your week and that things are going well for you. Just a reminder that last Thursday's module was all about YouTube advertising. And a good portion of you guys, a little bit over half of you, I think, showed up live last Thursday for the training that we did with Tom Breeze, which was a little bit different from anything that we've ever done because he actually, we switched roles and I became the student and Tom really walked me through the process of converting our 7-day Facebook ad class offer from, just working on Facebook to also scaling that over to YouTube. So we will have a part two to that training here in a few weeks after we have the chance to actually shoot that video and get it ready. So the next part will be the setup and the targeting and all of that fun stuff. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. I think that over the shoulder format is really interesting. And I know that I learned a lot from Tom last Thursday. So hope you guys enjoy that. And as always, thank you for all of the great questions here in the Facebook group. I don't think I have any other updates, John, unless you do.
Nothing huge, just a reminder that this Thursday, you'll have a recorded training with Mike Rhodes, who is an expert with Google Ads. So looking at other channels once again. And we emailed you about it last week, but we are starting to collect testimonials from you all, which is really, really helpful for Molly and I and Smart Marketer in general to promote Train My Traffic Person for future mentorship classes. And a great chance to get feedback, right? We want to hear what you all think, what you liked about it, so we can keep customizing this. And as mentorship members, you'll have access to the most recent TMTP digital class. So you actually are doing yourself a favor when you give us feedback because we, kind of shape and influence the next class based on what you all say. And
Yeah,
not only
and
that,
also
but go ahead.
Oh, also, guys, I just wanted to remind you because we're starting to get more questions about this. Will you have access to this content after the mentorship is over? And that answer is absolutely yes. So, all the recordings that are in your members area right now, we don't like to say you have lifetime access because, that's a pretty big promise, but at least for the next few years, you guys will have access to those videos. And we're also figuring out a way right now to give you guys and any past TMTP mentorship students access to all of our future mentorship classes, not from of course you won't get access to the Facebook group or the Q&A, but you would get access to that content so that you can stay up to date because the format of this pretty much stays the same, but we do update the class every time to reflect the current climate. So and we want to take care of you guys, not just now, but in the future. So I just wanted to clear that up for you guys. Nothing is disappearing or anything like that. So there's no reason to panic. And I'm sure you guys can hear, but my dog, Larry, I swear every time I get on a webinar, he knows and he decides to drink water, flap his ears. He's now sitting on a couch he never sits on and scratching it. I swear they know.
So true.
All right, John. Well, yeah, let's dive in. And I think that on this first one that you pulled up here, John, I saw this one and I think he said he was going to get some more stuff together for us to look at. I'm not sure if that's the case. If you could scroll down to the comments.
Um, so waiting for funnel to be made over the weekend so we can show ads and pages for the critique. Why don't I tag him? And if he gets back to me today, then we can take a look at this. Otherwise, it can kind of go in the overflow pile.
Yeah, just if there's going to be more for me to see that will give me more context, I would always rather wait so I can give you guys kind of my thought on the big picture.
Oh, he said he hasn't translated it yet. Okay, well, I'll
No problem. We
slide
can
this
look at
one
this.
back in the queue. Um,
And
if you're planning
John,
on translating this.
I'm happy to look at
Okay.
this one right now too. It's no problem. So he said, I'm selling a service in which I create a landing page with a form for the client to receive orders online. Cool. Definitely needed. There are people that struggle with that. So the order form sends an email notification to the client and populates a sheet with the details. The service is aimed at business owners who sell during these times of quarantine, mostly aimed at food businesses that can operate now and send their products to the customer. Very smart. Lots of businesses I know here in Amsterdam that could probably benefit from this. I'm going to test it locally. No targeting. Okay, perfect. I know Molly said for testing we should use ABO, but since it's local, I have only one ad set. Should I run this as CBO? Yeah, I mean, honestly, CBO or a campaign with one ad set using ABO is pretty much the same thing as CBO. So it really doesn't matter either way. Okay, so links to ad copy and then link to landing page copy. And then hold on really quick, John. I wanted to see what he said. Um, translated by Google Translate. Sorry, I didn't have the time to build the landing page yet or properly translate. Okay, no worries. I'll keep that in mind. I'm not going to be picky on the
No
grammar
word
with you.
nitpicking, yeah.
Okay, so this looks like the ad copy translated. Already, are you still selling in these times of quarantine? Are you struggling to keep your orders organized and your clients happy? Okay, I don't see any policy issues here, and I think that this is good. Something I would keep in mind for this type of marketing, especially when you're targeting a local area, and the reason you're not wanting to use interest targeting or to narrow the targeting down much is because it just makes the audience sizes so small that it can be hard to, even get Facebook to really give you any reach or to show your ads. So we talked about that in module 3, but just a refresh for anybody out there. And so because of this, because we are going this direction, because this is a local business, that means that we aren't getting our message in front of as much of a targeted audience as you would if you weren't a local business. So because of that, when you're targeting local, when you're marketing to local, you've got to really think about especially the opening of your ad copy and if there is a way to really call out your audience. Again, because you're not specifically targeting them because of how you're having to do things here, this will help you, any irrelevant traffic to continue to scroll and not generate, low quality leads for you, but it will also just catch the attention of people that are your avatar or people that know your avatar. So, say my dad saw this and he sees that you're calling out business owners, he might tag me. So just something to think about with your ad copy. That's going to be the most important part because of your particular situation. But yeah, I think, are you still selling? Are you struggling to keep your orders organized? We have something that's going to make your life easier without breaking the bank. Includes a microsite with your custom URL. Okay, I like this. And I think really the hook is like, hey, if if you own a business right now, especially a local business, you might be struggling to transition your business online. And technically, this feels hard for you, like the technology feels hard. Hey, we have that solution. So John, scroll down a little bit and let's see if there's any more here. Okay. Are you still selling in these times? So I would try a different opening here that feels a little bit, that might reflect the feel hook a little bit more because I don't see much of a difference between those. Or it says, oh, taking orders by phone or text messages can be overwhelming. You could even have an ad. This one could just be, hey, local business owners, dot, 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 are you currently taking orders by phone or text message, question mark? We know that this can be overwhelming. That's why we created the online order pack. And you don't even have to mention COVID necessarily. And the rest of that looks good. But that's how I would sort of trim up and edit that opening there and then tell a story. Most business owners think having a site that takes orders online costs a lot of money, but I found one that's not the case. Yeah, this is really, really good. A few days ago, I ordered food from a place nearby and I went to pick up. When I showed up, your order was not ready. Yeah, this one's probably my favorite. Just make sure that, well, the opening will do that. So, yeah, cool. I'm excited to see how this does. Let's check out the landing page. Cool. Microsite. Yeah, this looks awesome. It's great that you're doing this. I was actually having a discussion earlier with a friend that has an agency, and she was talking about, because the people that we work with, you guys are pretty tech savvy. And so, our courses don't cover like how to set up something like this. And there is such a need for that, especially local businesses. I know that my mom's retired, but she works a few days at this local, like I would call it like a takeaway restaurant where they cook sort of in big portions and people come in and buy sort of meal prepped items. And one of their issues right now, they're having this exact same issue. So you're definitely solving a huge problem here, and that's reflected on the page. So I think this is great work. Okay, we got a little bit more.
A little bit more, yeah. So it may
Yeah,
just be
nothing.
details about what the product includes.
Yeah, there's nothing on here that would tell me it won't work. And it's
Yeah,
solving such a problem right now.
I think it
Yeah,
looks really
this
good.
looks
The
good.
one thing I was thinking is I really like the, kind of overwhelm piece. And I think having, looking like professional is good, but something that speaks a little bit more to the benefit here, because I don't think people are going to buy this as much because of the, technical capabilities, right? They know what they want to do is provide their product or service to their employees. They don't worry as much about all the granular details. Not saying you shouldn't include that, but pushing more to the front of your messaging, the um, you know, feel organized, feel like you're able to serve your customers is going to make people really engaged and kind of speak to the thing they're struggling with, which is doing a good job of doing their business when they don't get this tech piece. So I might just fit that more into the headline myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks for submitting that.
Yeah, that's so weird when I type the little text right above it bounces from me. Probably just a weird thing on my end. Okay, so next one here is from Sadie.
All right. Hey, Sadie. She says, I have a rough draft of my remarketing or retargeting ad for the Fussy Librarians free ebook newsletter that I like to present for feedback. Definitely let me know if the first line will come across as too serious or too facetious. Also, I know that we can do fewer variations for this. Um, yeah, like 1 to 3-ish ads inside of retargeting campaign is a great place to start. Over time, as they fatigue, you might need to add new ones. But yeah, starting with 1 to 3-ish are great. So not all heroes wear capes, readers. So the only thing I would say is that opening, like, it's not really relevant. Like, there's not necessarily a benefit for the end user. We didn't like call out a specific end user. So, I think opening with something like readers have always sought refuge in books, and that's never been more true than it is today. I love that. And it would definitely catch the attention of someone who's a writer because, you're opening up with the word readers and then making it relevant to today's time. So just, I would remove that first sentence. Just take it from thriller author Joseph Flynn, who recently heard this from a reader. He said that have being laid off due to the virus, he couldn't afford to buy a novel, but he'd like those of my books that he'd read. Now he could enjoy my 2 free books and take his mind off his troubles. Yeah, I like that. Offering a free spot. Yeah, this is great. So, Sadie, I would just remove that first sentence. And I do think you could introduce another ad or two that maybe speaks to a different hook. Like, I like that this one is sort of the relevance hook to what's going on right now. You've got a little bit of a testimonial in here. That's great. I would test another variation that's like, um, you know, our offer of a free spot, free advertising still stands, or just something really short, sweet, to the point that speaks to free advertising. Like, why wouldn't you take us up on free advertising? I could even see something like that. Like, it's such a no-brainer. So I would recommend another variation or two, but this is a good place to start. And I like the thank you cards next to the Kindle. That's really clever. And I think that an author would stop because of the Kindle and then look at the thank you cards. And I like how native that is. That's a great image. So, yeah, thanks for submitting that. Still giving you trouble, John. All right, next up is Zach with the awesome beard. I realized that I'm not with you guys in person and clap and things all the time. I forget that
We
we're
need a
not in
little
the same room.
soundboard for you where you can like push the clap button or like
Oh my
whatever.
God, that would be
The
so
next one,
fun.
that's what I'm doing.
I could have different noises recorded. Larry drinking his water for whenever he doesn't doesn't do his job. All right. Next up is Zach. He says, if I'm testing a number of creative angles with unique ads going to separate landing pages, but with the same ad set audiences, should these be in separate ad sets or all together in one ad set? So, good question. If you're going to a completely different URL, then you want to keep those in separate ad sets because it's pretty confusing to Facebook when, or I'm sorry, separate campaigns, because it's pretty confusing to Facebook when there are multiple URLs and multiple different destinations inside of the same campaign. Now, that said, there are different split testing tools that you can use to where you can still send traffic to one URL, but then that tool will then send the traffic to multiple variations of that page, or even just display different variations of copy, for example, on a one page with one URL. That's something that we've done before with VWO. So yeah, John's writing this out right now. But yeah, if you're using separate URLs, then keep those in separate campaigns and look at those as different campaigns. Or it could be confusing to Facebook. So really good question.
Cool. Next one.
Right. Teban. I know I don't say that correctly, but I try. I'm trying to make a plan for a client. Awesome. And would love if you guys could give some insights. Cool. What's the benchmark numbers, finance coach, for people who registered for a webinar versus attendance? So right now at Smart Marketer, we're seeing about a 17% show up rate for our webinars. That's lower than it used to be, and it goes down every year that I'm really in this business, or that we've been looking at that number. And there are a few reasons for that. I mean, people definitely, especially with Smart Marketer, our people know now that we're always going to give a replay, and we're very, very forthcoming with that. So, some people don't show up live and they watch the replay later, and that's fine with us because as long as they consume the information, we don't mind. It's why so much of our webinar promotions, which you guys, in the bonus section of TMTP, there's a training about the TMTP launch that we did last fall that talks a lot about webinar marketing. There's also a training in the bonus area of the members area. Sorry, guys, lots of areas with Russ Henneberry about how he launched his modern publisher business with a webinar. And we talk a lot about webinar marketing in there. But that's why we use the replay, or we promote the replay so heavily, to get more exposure of the content and therefore the offer that we present on the webinar. So that's more of what we're focused on. But right now we're seeing about 17%, which isn't great, but people, they're changing. The way we consume content is changing. People are used to being able to open Netflix or Hulu and have content on demand. And webinars still work great, and it doesn't mean we're going to change hosting these live events because there are people that like that too. And there's just fun, excitement, and scarcity around hosting a live event and the energy. I think it turns out better. But if our show up rate isn't that great, I'm okay because I know a lot of people are going to watch the replay afterwards. So numbers for attendance versus purchasers of the product. I know it varies from coach to coach, but would love some data. The product is 197. Yeah, it really, really depends. Obviously, on most webinars, we are selling, um, $1,000 to $3,000 products generally. So our numbers are different. John, I don't know if you know like any of our recent conversion rates because our goal isn't as much to like sell right in that moment. We're willing to give a week of follow up with the replay, with more direct sales ads, more direct selling via email, and then some scarcity. Like the webinar for us is the hi, nice to meet you. Let us give you some value, entertain you, get to know you, and then we'll present this offer. And it might take you a few days to decide, but that's okay. So we don't look at it as much like, how many people are going to convert live right there. I mean, you'll notice that we try different things. Like last time we did a quick action bonus, the first 20 people to buy got a special bonus, and that worked okay. But yeah, I mean, honestly, webinar conversion rates can be anywhere between like 1% and be good, and like, I've seen like 10, 15% for some people in terms of converting live. I mean, in person, I've seen people convert like half of a room, but for me, it's like I don't know, we don't even have to get into that, but
Yeah,
lots,
I
lots
was just
more
gonna
on webinar stuff and those bonus trainings too.
I was gonna throw out that I think overall, like we are using more Facebook Live right now, honestly, which I think is an interesting idea. It doesn't work as well if you're trying to do a cold traffic campaign, but we found people are a little bit more engaged. And our cold traffic, or excuse me, our Facebook Live, attendee conversion rate is something like 2.5%. For webinars, yeah, it's around 1%, but we're selling a much more expensive offer.
Yeah.
And I think that we found the fast action bonus. So when people attend a webinar and you give something away that you can only get if you sign up while the webinar is happening or within 24 hours, that is a pretty good motivator. You need to be very careful about what you pick as the thing you're giving away, though, because we gave away calls with Molly, which I think was cool because you got kind of feedback from people who are still students today, Molly, when you did that. But there were several people who just did that call with you and then immediately canceled the program. So you got to strike a
That
good
was kind
medium.
of
But
bullshit.
yeah, that was a little a little frustrating because yeah, you were in launch mode and getting ready to gear up for the first class, and people are just like going kind of nuts, sucking up your energy and then just
Yeah.
like piecing
He
out.
said
So
he said also the follow-up will increase conversions. Noted. Yeah, I mean, let me give you some rough numbers for when we do a launch. And these are rough numbers, but imagine if total we are going to have 100 sales for a product. The way that it would usually go down, and you'll see this in those videos, is that usually we'll start a launch with some sort of lead gen or a webinar. So for a few days or even a week, we'll be focused on promoting that webinar. Then the webinar happens. So let's say on the webinar, we get 3 to 7 sales is usually what happens, right, John? Like usually we
mhm.
open the program a few days before just to people who have been on the wait list. So we might have a few sales. And then after the webinar, maybe let's say we got 5 on the webinar. Well, over the next week, as we increase consumption on the replay page, and then as we have scarcity, we'll see another like 93 sales come in after the webinar. So if you're only relying on that webinar to do the selling, like y'all, that's just the beginning of the journey. So yeah, I'm glad that's helpful, and thanks for asking. Ready for the next question when you are, John.
Yeah, let's jump ahead. All right.
Okay, up next is Carl. So I'd love to get your feedback, give me feedback on this Mother's Day test campaign that we recently ran. I'd love to get your input on the following. Okay. So you said while our conversion rate looked better this time, around 3.7%, yeah, that's much better. Your return on ad spend was still 0.5. Should we focus on getting our AOV up? Yeah, definitely. So if your conversion rate has increased that much, which is huge, and the return on ad spend is still that low, the next and I don't mean that low, like you're getting there, you're almost to break even. The next lever to pull would definitely be increasing average order value. And you said consider selling 3 or 6 month gift subscriptions up front. Well, I mean, the first thing to think about when it comes to upselling with physical products is how can you sell more of what you just sold? So instead of doing like 3 or 6 month subscriptions, I don't know if I would go into a subscription yet, especially if your goal is to increase average order value, which is right now. Subscription would be you wanting to increase lifetime value, which is a completely different metric and more of a long term metric that you want to think about after you get your average order value up. So we got to think about what do you need to do right now to get more money in the bank in that first transaction. And usually the best place to start is by um, upselling more of what you just sold, whether that's through bundles or you guys saw the free sticker funnel that we use for the apparel company, free sticker, but then there's an immediate order bump for add 50 stickers, add 10 stickers, add 5 stickers. So check out the training around one click upsell that Ezra has that talks more specifically about increasing your average order value for e-commerce, because that's definitely the next lever that I would pull if I were you. And congrats on getting your conversion rate up. So your conversion rate ranking was ranked below average on all of our ads. Any thought on how this might tie into the above question? So yeah, I mean, I told you guys those are diagnostics that are there to diagnose a problem. So, we've already noticed that, your average order value is low. So your conversion rate is up, but it looks like that in comparison to the other advertisers who are competing against the same audiences that you are, their conversion rate is still higher, or the activity that they're optimizing for, which here looks like purchases, that it is happening more frequently for them. So that does sound like it is still an optimization point for you. And you said we had 20 total sales with a conversion objective. Should I change the objective next time? No, I would keep the objective the same. Especially like you're getting sales, and I should never say the 50 purchases a week thing, John, because it throws people off. It is a guideline from Facebook, but as I said in class, it is not as relevant any longer. So, we have lots of campaigns that are running that are optimizing for purchases and have been for months that don't obtain that amount of data, but they still work. So that's kind of there to just say, hey, if we had more budget and if we did have more data and if this action did happen more frequently, it could work better. But it doesn't mean you should just switch to add to cart, because you probably wouldn't get as good of results. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful on those questions. And I'm glad that you are seeing improvements. That's awesome.
Yeah, very, very good. Cool. All right.
All right, Anna, she says, hope you're well. You too, dear. You're still very behind in the course modules, trying to keep on top of client work. I know I need to make it a priority. Sorry in advance if this has been covered. No worries at all. I totally get it. I have a new client, and for the warm campaign, I've stacked a warm audience of social engagement, website visitors, and their email list. Awesome. The client has asked me extended time frame of engagement. Currently, the warm campaigns are targeting anyone engaging in past 60 days. Is it possible to extend to 180 because of high engagement around December and February? Maybe lower frequency, how often an ad gets shown, so bigger audience. So your concern is if someone isn't interested, you don't want to use that targeting. You found an article, you've never used this. Would you use frequency cap? Okay, so first off, especially if they haven't already used this audience, this 180-day audience a lot, I would say there's absolutely no issue in using it. And we still use that for Smart Marketer. Like all of our warm campaigns running right now are running to engagers of 180 days. And if someone's super not interested, Facebook probably knows that. Probably knows that Facebook does know that they scroll past your ads, they don't pay attention. So that larger audience size is going to help you more than it will hurt you. So I would definitely do that. I would not necessarily recommend using the frequency cap feature because I think that requires you to use a certain objective. I might be wrong on that. Actually, I do think I'm wrong on that. And I think that's something you can set on the ad set level. And we've done it a few times. I really wouldn't worry about it, Anna. I would just keep an eye on it. And if you start to see the campaign dip in performance, then it might be a frequency issue, and that's something you can go check. But let Facebook do its thing. Don't use frequency cap just because you're using that new audience. But great question. And then you said another question my client had, do you happen to know any good solution to the fact that our customer pieces are seasonal? So right now our Aussie audience might look and like but not shop, and in the second part of the year is the same for the northern hemisphere. Is there an easy way to reheat these people? Let's say someone who has liked us in December but currently isn't interested. Would it be best to extend the time frame? Yes, definitely. And I think for anything like that, I get that it's tough, but I think for those types of brands, content and pre-sale articles, any lead gen offers, any way that you can continue to stay in front of them and put a bit of of budget aside to use throughout the time of the year where yeah, they can't buy anything, but you know the value of staying in front of them. I would also focus on developing pre-sale articles that are very evergreen in the sense that the pre-sales really express the value and the unique selling proposition of the brand very much like booms, but to where it could transition into promoting kind of any catalog that you might be promoting, whether it's spring, summer, fall, winter. And that's another great way to go about this. So for example, with the Christian apparel brand I was just talking about, a pre-sale article that we're working on right now is 5 ways to share your faith. And so what's cool about that is that we can test lots of different calls to action for the different designs that we have, the different types of apparel that we have, and just kind of see what works best. And that could be a good way to think about this, especially since it's something that changes out a lot, but that would give you an asset you can use always from a marketing perspective. It's just the call to action, what you're selling changes as the seasons change. So
Very
awesome.
nice.
All right, so Anna is up next. Hi, dear. She says, hi, hope everyone's doing well. I saw that Hey put an F. Just FYI, guys, if you ever want to be notified when there are comments on a post, you can click there and then click turn on notifications for this post. And that will let you know if anybody like comments or anything, just FYI. So you've watched the scaling module, you've got some questions, no worries at all. Let's say I'm testing a cold traffic campaign ABO that is going well. How is the best way to horizontally scale? So I covered that in the scaling module, but no worries. You just add new ad sets. Should I add new ad sets with larger audiences? So it doesn't have to be larger audiences or bigger budgets. You can just add new ad sets into that campaign, use the same post IDs of the ads that are working, throw in a few new ones if you want, but just use new interests. So it doesn't have to be like bigger, smaller, anything different. It's just add some new ad sets. If you feel like you wanted to, well, you've got that next. So you said, should I add more lookalike audiences? And you can use the same budgets you were using for your other test ad sets. So should I add more alike audiences into the existing ad sets? So, let's say that you've got a campaign with 5 ad sets and you're using ABO and you're at a point where let's say all 5 of them are working, which is great, and you want to scale. So an option could be creating one or a few new ad sets that target interests that are similar but different from the ones that are working in your current campaign. You can start those new ad sets at the same test budget that you started your old ones, or you can start them at a larger budget. It's kind of up to you. I like to start a little bit smaller, but that's completely up to you. So, but you definitely don't want to go into any existing ad sets that are currently running and working and add new audiences to those or mess with them in any way. Definitely not the route you want to go. That will reset things. So in the case you want to scale using CBO, should I mix all the audiences? So I think actually a great anybody who has a question on this, there's a student, Arsha, I think ARSHA. He is in the group and he asked like kind of the difference between ABO and CBO when scaling and how to think of that last Thursday. And I shot a video there that a few of you have said is really helpful. So Anna, I think it would be really beneficial for you and anybody. Maybe I spelled that wrong. Arsh. Okay. It would be beneficial for you or anybody who's interested in this topic to definitely watch that video. And
I was gonna
I
add
can,
it. Oh, this is probably it. Is that the right
yeah,
one?
there it is. Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. And then you said when scaling with CBO, let's say I have a daily budget of $60. Should I split the audience in 3 ad sets of 20 million or 2 ad sets of 30 or only one, or it doesn't matter? Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. I would try to stick with more like 2 ad sets in that scenario. Um, since I have a small business, wouldn't it be better to build a CBO campaign with 1 ad set only? Not sure that I understand that. But hopefully that video is helpful and let me know if you have any more questions.
Cool. All right, next one.
All right, Edwin, he said, totally cool if you can handle this. Yeah, let's save this one for the overflow, which I'm gonna do on Thursday, guys, because I've got some other stuff tomorrow. But that looked like a lot of critiquing of pages and
Mm,
things.
yep.
Okay, Robert, how you doing? He said this question is a little bit out of left field. No worries. Do you have or know anyone with influencer marketing experience, particularly TikTok, that may have some suggestions? You're determined to figure out, but have never done influencer marketing before and have no idea how to go about it beyond cold messaging people. So I don't. We could find some resources for you, maybe. My biggest thing with influencer marketing, and you guys will get access to Influencer Blueprint, which is a bit different. It's us working with influencers more to get user generated content versus looking at it as a traffic source. The hard thing about influencers is it's a hustle and it's not a continuous stream of traffic. So I think it's fine to use it for content, but unless there's an influencer where it's just a no-brainer, like a win-win, for me, it's like having to chase down a bunch of influencers and then it's like, okay, for a couple days we get a bunch of traffic and then it's gone. Like I'll take it. I'm not knocking it, but it's not the hustle that I want to be a part of. I want to be able to have more control of things, by using paid ads. So I think Nick Shackelford might be good
That's who
for
I
this
was
one,
gonna
John.
suggest.
He's not in this group, but I will ask him or yeah, check out Nick's stuff. Also, you'll find Greta, I'm blanking on her last name. She's friends with Nick. She has a Shopify course for e-commerce business owners that's free. I think she does a fair bit with influencer stuff too, but yeah, sorry I can't be much more of help here. I just most of us don't really dabble in that much because I'd just rather use that energy for paid traffic.
And I will just
And I
throw out
guess that's
there
paid traffic.
that we are releasing a ambassador blueprint y'all will get access to, not influencer blueprint. Not trying to be nitpicky, Molly, but sometimes
Oh,
people are
I'm
like,
sorry,
I
John.
didn't find that video in the recordings, and so just throwing
I'm
it out
sorry,
there to the
ambassador,
universe.
influencer. I'm using them as the same word.
No worries.
Uh, Thank you for
Cool.
that.
Oops, that's a typo. All right, a few left.
All right, David, this course has been great, even though you've fallen behind. Business has been good. It's so glad. I'd like to get your thoughts on what we've prepared so far. Shout out to Ryan, who has done most of this. We are launching a campaign Friday with an upsell. Okay, so it looks like there's a good amount of copy here, John. Let's save this one for the overflow too, so I can pull it up on my computer and really
Okay,
read those images.
sounds good. Drag that over here.
And then I know
Um,
we have one from Sophie too.
Here's
And
the one
then,
from Sophie.
okay, yeah, we've got that. And then, was that a new one from Frederico?
Yeah, so I think this is our last question because Sophie's, Edwin's, and David, you're going to stay for the overflow. So
Well, I
this
can
should be
knock
our last
Sophie's
one.
out. I can do Sophie's on this one too,
Okay. Do you want to take a look at
if there's time.
Federico's first?
Yeah, of course. You're trying to get some copy feedback for an ad you're about to launch. This person sells insurance. For some reason, that never sounds fun to me. Um, Bless people selling insurance. And we're doing a local campaign. Any recommendations on this? So yeah, a lot of what I said earlier definitely applies here. You're having a hard time trying to take off the copywriter's hat. I get it, especially with something like kind of serious like this. You feel like you're over complicating the copy maybe. You've been doing some research in Facebook ads library and all the ads you can find in the same niche are super simple, just straight up 3 lines. So yeah, I think that you can definitely do better than the average insurance ad, especially by telling stories. Like think about, you know, with insurance, you are selling the chance that this is something you might need in the future. And so, of course, you can come out and directly say that with some pretty direct response style copy, but you can also do that through stories of people who have experienced something where they did need their insurance and how glad they were that this was the direction that they went. That's definitely the route that I would be thinking if I were you, but let's definitely check this out.
Cool. Sorry that just like a million questions came in, so I was looking away, but here you go.
Okay. Are you looking for a way to protect your family and your assets? It's times, yeah, I wouldn't go with this one. It feels way too serious. And I don't think that someone would just be like, oh, yeah, I was thinking of that, right? You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I agree with you. This is just way too um, serious. You know, your family deserves the right amount of financial security. Like it sounds like an insurance ad. So I think you definitely got to do whatever you can to take that serious copywriter hat off and put conversational hat on, because even though this is traditionally like that is to your favor here, in your favor here, that this is a very buttoned up, usually boring market, because you, just because you're a good marketer, you guys will stand out so much just because of that. So, be casual, be relatable, be, conversational, tell stories. And this is something that almost everybody needs. So that's another benefit.
Nice. And then Teresa had just asked a question in the chat that I don't know the answer to, and you may not either. But she was wondering, on YouTube ads, are there any restrictions on the amount of text allowed in your video?
Not that I'm aware of, but that would be a good one to tag Tom in the Facebook group. So
Cool.
just tag Tom Breeze with any YouTube questions you have in the group. He's happy to answer them.
I know Teresa had her Facebook account deactivated, so I will post and ask him, and I'll just mention it on our next Q&A call, just in case you're still having issues, Teresa. And then also had a question from Ricardo, who said, is there any special way to make a campaign for crowdfunding on Facebook?
So Google perpetual traffic crowdfunding. There's one, I think 2 episodes on that podcast where I talk specifically about crowdfunding. So those would be the best. Yeah. Episode
Episode
83.
83. Nice.
And then I think episode 56 is 1, 2 down there. Yeah. Oh, that's the
Oh,
Digital
that's the
Marketer
digital
podcast. So
marketing
that'd
one.
be awesome too. So
But yeah,
both
hey, I
of
mean,
those.
this looks pretty darn good to me. Gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's a really good episode. So I would go listen to those two.
nice. All right. And then we're gonna take a look at Sophie's. So here's her ad
Sophie, yeah,
copy.
sorry for the delay on this one. Okay, so vegan mom, alrighty. And it looks like we've got, okay, so a few ad copy variations here on the bottom. And then we've got reworked May 2nd. So just getting familiar here. Alrighty. So, as a picky vegan mom of two, I've been known to invest a lot of time searching for skincare that is not only, so this is a much better opening. It feels less, ever spend hours searching for the perfect product? Like it feels so much less like you're being sold to. And, mentioning vegan and mom in the beginning and that you have two kids, so much more relatable and definitely makes me want to keep reading. Um, so yeah, after finding it a struggle to find a product that ticks all the boxes, I created my own skincare. As a makeup artist, I spent years putting makeup on people's faces to help them look their best. Invest in your skin today. Okay, yeah, this is much, much better. If I were to, you could launch with this, but if you wanted to make a few more changes here, the things that the only things I would really change are the 100% cruelty line. I like this opening is great, and then I hit that and I definitely feel like I'm being sold to. So reworking that in some way where you're not like listing off all the buzzwords that everybody always hears in this market, that would feel more digestible to me. And then your call to action, invest in your skin today when you make a purchase of 35 or more. Same thing here if there's a way to um maybe even it's just putting the testimonial above it, but just making that a little bit more digestible there. But this is a huge improvement, and I love that you're calling your audience out there in the beginning. Let's click to the next one there, John. Okay, women apply an average of 168 chemicals. Yeah, once in the bloodstream. So I love that this is more concise. Um, no toxic. Yeah, this is great. This one, in my opinion, is much better than the other one. It just flows, and there's not a point where I'm like, oh, this is an ad. I mean, obviously, by the bottom, you're realizing that, but by the time you get to the call to action, that's fine. So, much, much better there.
Oh, I'm trying to see if there's a better way to help you read this one. Maybe if I do what? Oh, I can't
And
edit
then,
this. That's what it is.
so there's variation one and variation two here. So new and then revised. Okay, so these are for um okay, I think we saw the ones here on the left last time, John, if I
Gotcha.
remember correctly. Um, okay, I really like that. Oh, I remember. So we read this testimonial last time, and I said split it into different chunks. So I think that's what's happening here. So can 100% natural vegan skincare really be as effective? So generally, I would say that I wouldn't love an opening like that. But I do like that here in terms of, you know, you wonder, for example, like I use completely natural deodorant and people ask me all the time, like, does that really work? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. Unless you tell me
You tell me.
otherwise. Yeah, unless you tell me otherwise. So, um, but that is very obvious, like what a deodorant is supposed to do, like what the word effective means. Here, it's not as obvious. So, what I'm saying is, I like this hook, but instead of just saying, like, can it really be as effective? Like, what's it supposed to do? And what might people be worried about? And how can you tease that a little bit more? Um, and then, it makes its mark, which proves natural products can be effective. Um, especially for vulnerable skin. So yeah, that one's okay. I really like this second variation a lot better though, because you're opening, so much with your avatar and a true pain point for them, which is being sleep deprived. Yeah, I really like using that for the opening. And I think that these could even be tied together. I don't know if I would necessarily use variation one on its own, but I think that this could be tied together where you're opening with this like sleep deprived hook for the mom, but then you talk a little bit about, and a lot of moms think that natural vegan skincare like can't hide those dark circles, but they can be, it can be as effective and it's much better for you. So maybe think about tying that together a little bit more. Let's see ad copy number 2, John. Okay, so all right, these were some more quotes we saw last time. The results are in on our 100% natural and vegan eczema cleanser. So I wouldn't go with that. It just sounds so salesy in terms of like the results are in. So I would probably just go directly into the testimonial. Super effective at helping all skin types be their best, fresh, clear, and bright. Star Products has improved my skin load. So I like that you picked the pieces of testimonials that are very specific, like combo skin, dry patches, helps all skin types. So you should definitely test this one. So, Sophie, these have come a long way. And if you're thinking about any other ad types, especially because you're targeting this mom avatar, which I have a lot of experience with when it comes to advertising. And it's such like it is of any avatar I've ever targeted, definitely one that loves stories and any kind of story that they can relate to. So if there's any way for you to create a variation or some variations that really tell a story about a mom and her waking up and being tired and having bags under her eyes, and maybe it's even like telling a story about her skin routine so that it can be a bit more specific to your product if that's what you're looking for. Just I know I tell you guys all to tell a story, but it's just what works. And that's what, yeah, a lot of what you'll learn in that ambassador blueprint. And, I've talked my head off about native advertising during this class, but especially for this avatar, if they see through a story this avatar going through the same things they do, like you saw with the Panda Planner ads that targeted moms, when the mom was talking about, hey, I'm trying to get the kids to all the practices and have meals ready and doctor's appointments and cleaning the house. It's like that had nothing really to do with the planner, but by telling that story, I'm relating to that person, and then they feel like this planner or this skincare is specifically for them. I mean, think about, it's like, I imagine, Sophie, you having even ad copy or a pre-sale article that's something like 5 makeup tips for tired moms or new moms. And you could do something very similar to what Ezra's doing, 5 makeup tips for women over the age of 50. You're just relating with a completely different group of people. So for you, Sophie, especially, like, really take that professional copywriter, like, I've got to sell you something hat off when you're thinking about writing ad copy on these social platforms, and put your, I'm a mom, like, what do moms want to talk about? How do I show up like a friend in their newsfeed versus showing up like an advertiser? And especially in a market like skincare that is so saturated, where people can have access in most places to lots of skincare options. It's like the fact that they feel like this is for them, and it's for them because, other women that aren't getting much sleep are using it too, and they understand this about being a mom and this about being a mom. That's why they're going to buy from you. It's exactly what Boom does. So don't lose sight of that, because that's how you're going to get this to work, especially in a busy market like this.
Awesome. There was one other thing to look at. Um, who was it? Federico had images down here that he just wanted to
Okay.
get your 2 cents on.
So I obviously don't know what they say, and I like the one of the scooter right there, like the native one. I don't like the one on the right necessarily. I think the scooter is good to use because we're all relating that with like restaurants selling stuff right now. Oh, it says, do you sell and send your products using delivery? Cool. So I like the one on the left. I think you could also test like a picture of a restaurant owner, like, or someone like handing food over outside of a restaurant, maybe without even any text, but obvious that it's a local business. So definitely on the right track there with the photo of the scooter. I wouldn't use the more cartoon one. I think people are just going to scroll through, but keep up with that native theme and even see if you can get some people in them. So whether it's someone delivering food or picking up at a restaurant, something that's really going to speak to that restaurant owner.
Cool. Awesome. So we've got two left for the overflow, but that takes us through everything that we had that came in. I can do a quick check, see if any last second things popped in, but we may just save all that for the overflow as well.
Awesome. Sounds good. And I will get to those on Thursday. So we're putting the final touches on my book tomorrow. Really excited. It's called Click Happy. It's coming out in a few weeks. So that's happening. And Thursday we'll be back in business.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we are all good, Molly. So thanks so
This
much
is fun.
for hopping on with us. Really great one. Thanks everyone for being so active in the question box. Really fun to chat
You
with all
guys
of you.
keep
And
John busy.
yeah.
John, when I
Yeah,
was
and
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. When I was on with Tom last Thursday and I was in charge of the questions box, I forgot how much work you do in a great way. Like we love you guys being active or we would be bored and that's how we help you. But yeah, uh I haven't been in charge of the questions box in a few years. So
Molly
thanks
thinks I
for
just
everything
sit
you do.
around here playing on my Game Boy or
I bet
whatever, and no, I'm really doing stuff.
John's just sitting
Uh,
around waiting for you guys to ask questions.
um, but yeah,
Oh,
so I think that takes us to the end of today's Q&A. So we'll let you go, Molly, because it is obviously incredibly late there. And Thursday we will be back, you all, with Mike Rhodes for your recorded training all about moving to Google Ads. Really, really awesome. So definitely make sure you check that one out. We will be back with you on Tuesday again next week.
awesome, y'all.
See y'all later. Bye bye.